Talking to Tim Brando, Fox Sports, and Lane Kiffin came out last week, and he was talking about NIL and transfer portal and how it's really messing with college football. And I know you're the expert. Is he just is it sour griping, or is he scratching on the surface of something where someone needs to get a little bit better handle on what's going on? I know that even the NCAA said, well, Congress should come in and help with NIL. What are your thoughts on all that?
I think it's classic Lane drawing attention somewhat to himself and to his program, but also rekindling the birth of Steve Spurrier, who used to be the head coach, the head ball coach, who used to go into each one of the SEC media days with one intention and one intention only, and that was to piss off his fellow coaches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. Spurrier would say something like when he was coaching Florida, well, got to play Georgia. But, I wish we were playing Georgia like South Carolina did. South Carolina gets to play Georgia week 2. Well, you know what happens in Georgia? Week 2, they got a bunch of players suspended because of all the things that happen in the offseason. I'd rather play Georgia week 2 because they don't have much of their talent because they're all suspended. Just to stir the pot. I think that's Lane's way. He's got a little bit of Steve in him. Look, I'm a fan of his. I am. But I think he got up a little later in the week. He noticed that his contemporaries were basically given the ho-hum version. No one really wanted to discuss it. They were really sort of, let's just talk about our teams. I think a lot of the coaches are tired of talking about NIL and about the portal because it's been there for a couple of years now. And they all understand that most of the fans and much of the media is tired of it too, because a moaning, groaning adult coach who's making in excess of $7 million a year is not going to get much sympathy. And Lane noticed this, and he felt like, well, somebody's got to carry the torch here and say something. And so he decided to be that guy, because he doesn't care whether he wins any popularity contest. That's just who Kiffin sort of is. So, look, the NCAA doesn't have the power to do anything, but they're trying to make it. When I say they, the commissioners of the conferences are trying to pull at every string that they can to find a way for Charlie Baker, who I think is a well-intentioned new head of the NCAA. It's a damn shame he wasn't in charge for the last 10-plus years, because he might have been able to do more, as a guy that navigated through a blue state as a Republican governor for a couple of terms. He might have been able to turn some heads and get some things done in the position with the NCAA, but, it's too late. But I think the commissioners want him to have a voice to some extent because he's saying the right thing. I don't think anything will get accomplished until Congress does find a way through really some heavy-duty groundwork that's got to be done by the commissioners of the power conferences in college football. It's going to take the Tony Petitis and the Greg Sankeys of the world, the Big Ten and SEC commissioner, to galvanize the group together. When I say group, I mean all 10 conference commissioners, not just the so-called Power Five, but also the Group of Five, and come together as a group and go to Capitol Hill and say, listen, this is what we really need, because the construct of college athletics in general, but college football in particular, has to be changed for it to hold on to its legitimacy long term. We're doing very well in the here and now. The sport's never flourished more. It's never made more money. But if we don't take care of this within the next handful of years, the genie's going to get out of the bottle, and college athletics as we know it is forever changed. And that's just it. The genie is already out of the bottle, so you can't go back and change what's already been done because, college athletics allowed this to happen for 15 years, the better part of 2 decades. So it's about reparations being made that were long overdue. But to think that the NCAA can do it, no. Can Congress be of help? Yes, Is it a reach? Absolutely it is, given the climate that we're dealing with. But it's the only way that we can get unified rules across the board and make sure that the states all are bound to the same rules and regulations. And if we wait another 2 or 3 years, gentlemen, the states are going to, these leagues are already advising they're in communications with state legislators everywhere. And they're advising to do this, and this. So their institutions of higher learning, all their state institutions of higher learning, are being governed the same way in their specific parts of the world. And that's why we've got to have some stabilization from Congress. I know it's a reach, but that's the only way it's going to happen.
In that same thought, in the same conversation, what did you think of the NCAA coming down on Tennessee in the last couple of weeks? And I know this was before Coach Heupel being there. He didn't have anything to do with this. We've kind of heard this story in the past. The one difference is this conversation. Now we have NIL. So it's just kind of a weird thing to look at. And what were your thoughts? And does it really hurt Tennessee's chances in order to take the SEC conference?
No. It's all toothless, and that's the part I don't understand. And this is where I think Charlie Baker's got to get a little better handle on his communications people and everyone involved on the so-called infraction side. See, this notion that now all of a sudden these investigations that were going on before NIL and the portal ever got underway can actually be enforced. Given the state of affairs that we're in now, fellas, it's like, really?
Right.
You're going to go there? You want to backtrack to this when we're trying to progress to that? And none of the leagues or the participants that are involved are going to recognize any of these statements that are made based on investigations that took way too long to start with. I've said this for years. The NCAA was trying to be itself from an infraction standpoint when it didn't have the same staff as Yahoo. I mean, they should have just gone and hired guys like Wetzel and Passon and Pat Forty and guys like that. They were doing all the work for the NCAA because they couldn't get it done. They didn't have the manpower to get it done. You got to have some classic investigative reporting done if you want to follow up and implement and enforce some of what they're saying is out there. No, it's toothless, and it's being treated in such a manner on college campuses around the country. Oh, it gives the fans a little fodder, and they can have fun with it. But, no, as long as college football's financial purse is what it is, the NCAA is not going to be able to change anything with regard to its governance or lack thereof of college football. They need to understand what they are, and that is they are a major multi-million-dollar company that has all of its future hinged on whether or not they can get the NCAA basketball tournament in 2032 a new television contract. Because, fellas, if they cannot get the NCAA basketball tournament television rights deal done to the liking of all the institutions that are involved, the NCAA has no reason to exist.
Timmy, as always, thank you so much for your time. Glad we were able to get you back off the grid and get you on the show because the show's so much better with you. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks, fellas. Happy to be with all of you, and looking forward to toe beating leather pretty soon. And, gosh, it's only a few weeks away.
Yep.
Only a few weeks away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Brando.
Thanks, Tim.
You bet. Bye-bye.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back to First Dibs question of the day, and then we'll get into some NFL news, some shocking injuries from the NFL, a lot of them non-contact, some not even on the field. We'll be right back.